Hey guys, welcome to London Players Guild, and today I am joined by a third place player from our last Digimon tournament by Kooper. If you want to say hello.
Hey. Yeah, how's it going, everybody? I'm Kooper Koshiro, run a small YouTube channel over at somewhere.
Over at
Post
somewhere.
things occasionally.
We're going to put your link in the description. You came in yesterday with a very interesting deck. As soon as we have seen it with Scott, we both got really, really interested in it, as you can imagine, and as you can see on the screen. This deck is a total opposite of a Rookie Rush. So talk us through. Tell us where the idea for the deck came from and why did you decide to bring it to a tournament?
All right, so this is Mega Zoo, as it is most commonly called, sometimes called Mega Beats or Mega Rush. This deck's been around since really, I think, the starter deck era, where you would just have the Phoenixmon, the Plesiomon, and even the starter deck MagnaDramon, just for having the big, gnarly security with the 12Ks. So it's gone through some evolutions over the sets that have came out, but really it's hit its prime now, I think, with the Booster 2 and all these when-played Megas that came down. So this
So the Dark
version in particular,
Masters that
yeah,
came in with the
those
effect.
guys.
But in a
Uh-huh.
set one, wasn't it mostly based on Ultimates? The one that borrowed memory? Because we have seen that a few times in our tournaments.
Yeah, the version that has a lot of ultimates involved in it was played a lot as well, especially the yellow ones like MagnaDramon to recover,
Yeah.
Mistymon to deal with Rookie Rush type threats.
Yeah, and then evolve into Seraphimon or to recover more, or into Slash Angemon to remove something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that variant is also definitely still around today.
Okay.
But that variant typically does not play, Omnimon, so and this one does.
Yeah, if you can play Omnimon, you would play Omnimon.
Absolutely.
Like the card proved to be way more powerful than anyone expected, I think. So yeah, let us just go through the deck quickly. Well, as quickly as we can. You only play 4 Digitamas, and that's Upamon. And I've seen that actually happen a lot when people don't include the 5th Digitama.
Yeah, I mean, Upamon, I don't think anyone would argue is the best Digitama as of the first two booster sets. That extra card draw is incredibly valuable, especially in a deck that's not going to be evolving every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to plus your hand with that is really, really important.
Very easy to achieve as well, right? Because your opponent very often is going to be hard casting something to just keep up with your big monsters.
Yeah, very well could be. And also, the deck only plays 8 rookies, so you're
Yeah.
very much not likely to get through 5 eggs anyway.
Oh yeah, that is true. Speaking of rookies, the first one is Gabumon, the cute Gabumon hiding in a cave. I really, really like that artwork way more than its SPR version.
I
As
agree.
so generally, when played, you draw one card. So when you play him, you have the same advantage as if you evolved him, which is a really nice thing to have, right?
Absolutely. Either way you play him down out of your hand, you're going to get to draw a card. And again, being able to draw through your deck with a deck that doesn't evolve very often is even more valuable.
Yeah. It is a strong card. It is a useful card to have here. And another one, and I'm actually surprised that you chose Betamon as your other rookie, because Betamon costs 1 to evolve. I do understand that it has 5,000 power, but I would think that in this deck, rookies are going to be mostly a throwaway cards. So the cards that you want to evolve into, draw a card, then attack with Upamon being underneath it to draw another card, and then just leave it at that. It dies to security. So why
Right.
actually Betamon?
For the most part, that's generally how you do rookies. However, for the 5,000 BP, I value for 2 reasons. One of which is it's a little bit above the curve, so if you can actually get a swing in at security and live, then the opponent has to either take a swing at that or allow the Betamon to swing again and possibly give you another Upamon draw. And if they're wasting a swing at Betamon, then they're not attacking your security, which they're probably dying as they do, so you're being able to get rid of their threats as it goes. The other big thing is that 5,000 DP gets above the Volcanicdramon, which you don't typically see Volcanicdramon drop down against Megazoo because all your stuff is gigantic anyway. But the big one really is Shine Greymon. Forcing Shine Greymon to use 2 pings to kill a rookie feels really good, especially if that keeps it from knocking out one of your Megas as well.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I have not thought about the Shine Greymon thing. That is actually a really interesting thing here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you do.
I guess it is really worth to use that one memory to play the Betamon, right?
Yeah, another great thing about the one memory is if you do go first with this deck, you can often get into hands where you actually cannot play anything out of them.
Oh, because majority of your cards cost more than 10, right?
Right, they cost more than 10.
Yeah.
And so sometimes being able to just say, well, I guess I just throw down this Betamon and pass the turn over with 1, as opposed to, well, I evolve into the Gabumon, and then I just declare a hard pass and send you 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And really just these 2 rookies as a whole, I do see a fair number of Megazoo lists, especially I think the one on the Fun Digika official channel. Just had like 1 Yokomon as its only Digitama and just completely gave up on rookies. And I think that's a mistake because you're typically only going to be able to field 1 body a turn with this deck. So if you at least got some capacity for rookies to come out, then you're fielding 1.5 bodies a turn, basically.
Yeah, so you field that 1 additional damage, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. And that also explains, we are wondering this on stream. I don't know if you heard that, but we were wondering why do you always choose to go second whenever you play? And that actually answers a lot of my questions there.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. If you can choose to go second with this deck, you definitely want to go second and unlock so much more of your deck with all those 11 cost guys.
Because if your opponent is just going to make the first play, you're going to be ending up with some memory, so you can just go into the big guys immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if they actually drop anybody on the board, then that allows some of your other guys with removal options when they get dropped down to be useful as well.
Yeah. Speaking of the big guys, let's start going through the big guys because we have quite a few of those here. MagnaDramon. So a 12-drop blocker, 11,000 power, and when played, you digivolve 2 of your opponent's Digimon by 2. So you play 1 of those, correct? Yes.
That is correct.
So why did you even include it and why only at 1?
I like MagnaDramon.
Okay,
that's the majority of the reason. Also, I guess it gets the 5th color in there as kind of a thing. It's definitely one of the worst of the win plays for sure. In the right situation, you can undo enough evolutions to kind of make up for its 12 cost. If you hit 2 things that were both 3 to evolve, there's 6 times 2 memory paid back, as well as you get a little bit of an instant value from it being an 11k blocker. So I think it's the only native blocker.
The best play of this would be against ShineGramon, right? Because they usually go into ShineGramon and pass, and then you can devolve 2 of their guys. Even if you only devolve 1 guy, you are still getting the value because you just got rid of the ShineGramon that they can't bring back.
Yeah, you typically can get at least some value out of this. So it's all right. It is the 12 cost, though, which is one notable thing as we look at the rest of these. 11 cost megas after the first turn going first are always live because your opponent's always going to send you at least 1 memory. The 2 cost mega or 12 cost megas are not necessarily always live, so you want to try to keep those to a minimum. But if they're worthwhile, then go for it.
That's an interesting pointer. MagnaDramon, like this card made such an upturn on the tournament. The card is absolutely amazing, and it was underestimated because, you know, it's a mega that when played, even Shark Danger, who won the tournament, was using one of those.
Yeah, this is maybe the most underrated cards in this deck. I like to say that in order to be underrated, you have to be rated low, which is definitely true for MagnaDramon.
Yeah.
In many ways, it's just a worse version of Volcanicdramon, who we'll get to in a bit. But being able to bounce things like blockers with 6,000 DP and any champions with 5,000 DP, even though it only gets 2 off the board, it's sometimes Volcanicdramon's only going to be able to bounce 1, which might not keep you off of lethal, whereas MagnaDramon might be able to bounce in the back to hand and then stay off lethal. As well, the unblockable ability we were mentioning earlier, sometimes opponent wants to go wide and just slam down a bunch of guys, including maybe some hard cast blockers, and MagnaDramon can get through those.
Yeah. MagnaDramon, we have seen that. I mean, even bouncing the cards and just removing their sources, it is worth that 11 memory, because we have seen people, after you played MagnaDramon, they suddenly started giving you more memory than you gave them, because they were trying to make back for that lost tempo with MagnaDramon. So you would find yourself on the end of having 6 or 7 memory yourself, and then suddenly you found yourself starving your opponent because they gave you so much memory there.
Especially if you bounce 2 blockers that are each 5 to cast back. If they want to cast those back, that's pretty much the cost of my MagnaDramon.
Yeah, exactly. Really, really strong card, and I'm actually quite happy to see the Dark Masters pulling through. It's a shame that you didn't manage to find a space for Puppetmon as well, but maybe next time.
Yeah, Piedmon is the one that he really only works in purple. He's the only
Yeah,
one of the Dark Masters that requires his color.
yeah, that is true. Next we have Vikemon, which is another one of the 12 drop megas. 2 copies of this one. During your turn, if your opponent has Digimon with no sources, he becomes a 13k security attack +1.
Yeah, so one of the later additions I made, I think the night before, was I decided, all right, I'm playing a bunch of big guys. I'm only going to get to drop one guy a turn. The opponent can potentially drop multiple guys a turn. So I'd like if my big guys can take off multiple security in one attack. So Vikemon can definitely do that, as well as getting to that 13k amount, which is very safe going into security. You pretty much only fear if there's starter TK involved or else level 7s like MillenniumMon
And
and
Omnimon.
Omnimon.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're always scared of Omnimon. Like, Omnimon
Absolutely.
is ridiculous. It's still the strongest printed power. Even Lord Ragnamon, which we're going to see in next set, is 14k.
Yeah, very
And
true.
also, Lord Ragnamon can very easily play Omnimon, which is scary.
It absolutely can, yeah. It's not always going to be live, as sometimes you will see things. And actually, I don't think it was live that often during my games, but when it is live, it at least gets that extra 1k on there, which is very nice. And the important thing is here, it's another blue, which is, of course, something that can lead
Yes.
into Omnimon.
Yeah, the blue and red are the most important ones, I think. Plesiomon, I think a lot of people downplayed the importance of the starter decks for this game. All the vanillas from the starter decks are really, really important, being at 10 cost, 12k, and they can only evolve for 2. And then they also find their spot in the decks like this, right?
Yeah, these guys have been staples in Megazoo ever since, like I said, the starter deck era. That 10 cost means that it is a live card on your first turn going first if you do have to do that. And then just being the native 12k. That was another good thing about Vikemon as well, is he has a printed 12k, which makes the security value security Digimon much higher.
Yes. It's always scary attacking into your security because you never know when it's just going to attack you back, essentially.
Right. Yeah, I know I had in the last round I had an All Force player swung in with arena boosted All Force VenomMyotismon. 12k, I'm okay, all right? And then I flip over a Plesiomon.
I think that was Blaine, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy who's streaming for us every Wednesday. By the way, guys, if you want to join us every Wednesday evening UK time, we are streaming Digimon on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/playersguild. Make sure to join in for some Digimon testing. And now that this plug is gone, let's go into MVP of the deck. I think MVP of the tournament. Every time we've seen it, it was like, yeah, this card is strong. Puppetmon. 11 cost, 10,000 power. When played, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and during your opponent's next unsuspend phase, all of your opponent's Digimon cannot be made unsuspend. I think I'm using that correctly. That is, suspend and unsuspend is, by the way, the official term in English for those.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to those,
Yes.
but it'll happen eventually.
We're doing a podcast today about that, and I started reading that on the website. I was like, suspend, unsuspend. And it's going to take a while because we kept on using the rest and active, which has been used in Dragon Ball, which is also a game done by Bandai. And also when attacking, you get 1 memory, which is incidental value, but it can actually bring a lot of value down the line. So, yeah, the only green card in your deck, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's the only green. The +1 memory is generally not super valuable, but it can unchoke you if they've choked you at 1 and you would like to play one of the 12 cost guys. But definitely the main effect here is the when played effect, being able to tap down somebody and keep them tapped down. And it's especially deadly if you can chain these and essentially extend the first one's effect over multiple turns, because it only taps down one Digimon itself, but it also prevents all of the opponent's suspended Digimon from coming unsuspended.
Not very good against Ulfos, which can just untap by resting tie. So I can imagine that against Ulfos it was not very, very good. But and I think when you're playing against Shark Danger is when I personally learned that Garurumon can unsuspend Omnimon.
That was probably my favorite play that I saw the entire tournament. That was amazing to see.
Yes. He had enough memory, he just hard-casted Garurumon, restood his Omnimon, and just went for game.
Yeah, believe it or not, you don't have to just play that with Metal Garurumon Booster 1's effect.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't know that you can actually play that card.
It's playable from the hand? What?
No, that round 4 was one of the best games I think I've seen in a good while. for this game.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites I've ever played.
Yes. It was definitely very back and forth, very close, very interesting. All the time was something happening. VenomMyotismon. 12 drop, 12,000 power, security attack +1, and during opponent's turn, when an opponent Digimon becomes rested, you get +1 memory. So it's a taxation effect.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of the same idea as Vikemon. I was debating on what counts to split between these two. The good thing about Venom is that he's got always on security attack +1, so there's no condition like with Vikemon. The memory leech effect is probably not that effective, to be honest, as you're not going to choke people at low enough memory that, like Rookie Rush is going to swing 5 times per game. You're not going to be putting them most likely at, 2 or 3 memory to where, they can't, swing enough times physically to win the game. But it's more so to just kind of pay back his effect a little bit and kind of make him feel more like maybe a 9 cost when all is said and done. And again, he's still got that native 12.
Against the Rookie Rush, I agree that it wouldn't do much, but against any deck that wants to climb up and do more stuff, the more attacks they want to launch at you, the less they can do during their turn. So for example, if they launch 3 attacks at you, they give up 1 of the revolution. That can actually be big. I think you're a bit downputting the taxation of this card. And when we're talking about Myotismon, let me ask you, do you plan to put MagnaDramon into this deck?
I've been looking at the booster 3 things. The one thing that's kind of tough about MagnaDramon is he is a 13 to play, which you are very rarely going to see 3 memory on your turn.
But you can play him for a total of 9, I think.
You could play him with the Omnimon or Mummymon.
Yes,
exactly. Could do that.
And then you pay, say, 7 to play them. You pay 3 to play MagnaDramon either from your trash or from your hand. And then you destroy that card, so MagnaDramon is already on board, so you would get the memory back. So total you pay 9.
It's true. However, what I don't like about that is that, and we're getting into booster 2 stuff or booster 3 stuff here. It requires you to wait essentially 1 extra turn before you get any offensive value out of MagnaDramon, and also he doesn't lop off an extra security card. But the piercing is very good.
I can understand that, but it is a card that I think taxation of MagnaDramon would be better than taxation of VenomMyotismon.
Oh, but absolutely.
It's nice to see that they actually keep with the theme of taxation on the Myotismon Megas. I like that. It's something interesting. I would like to see that as a deck, but I don't think purple is defensive enough to excuse that yet, at least.
Yeah, those vampires just slowly sucking your blood.
They need a rookie that's a blocker that can't attack. That's all. They need a Gotsumon just in purple.
Yeah, especially one thing about it also, MagnaDramon's effect would be typically when they attack your security, you expect them to get destroyed. So it should be about the same in that regard, if not straight up better.
Yeah. I think MagnaDramon would be an interesting choice over Vikemon, but that's just my opinion. Just saying. Volcanicdramon. So I've actually never read this card before.
Really?
Yeah. I know it came out, but I haven't been keeping too much with what's happening. I was moving when Set 2 was coming out, so
this is one of the most. This is maybe the most widely played tech card, I think, at least in the online formats right now.
So 11 cost, 10,000 power, security attack +1, and when played, you destroy all of your opponent's Digimon with 4k or less. So it's essentially Rookie Rush killer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think this is honestly the best red mega right now. Just for having that innate security.
I could see that. I could see that.
The only bad thing about it is the native 10,000 DP, but it's 11 cost to play, so it's always going to be live after the first turn, which you wouldn't play it going first anyway because you get very little value.
You get no value. I mean, you would have a threat that security attack +1, but
yeah, that's definitely one of the best parts about it. It comes down, it potentially clears their board if they're trying to go wide and small.
Yeah.
And then if it is Rookie Rush, you're probably going to get those 2 security attacks through as well.
So I guess this is the card you wanted to see when you were playing against Shark Danger that game 1, right?
Generally, yeah. I always feel much safer if I've got a Volcanicdramon in my hand. Yeah. I would probably play 8 copies of this card if that was allowed.
Well, hopefully we can get some searches. He's a virus Digimon, so we at least know that there are cards like Metal Mamemon that let you recover virus cards from the drop.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some more usage of those tiny text little keywords there. Yeah. Data virus vaccine and the Earth Dragon, I think, is what.
The only thing I don't like is that the two main monsters in set 3 that are getting support are both in red and black. And they're both
Yeah.
virus.
I guess red and black did kind of need help, apart
Yeah,
from
but
just
the thing is that
good.
both Omegamon, Alter S, and Lord Ragnamon are red black, and they're both virus. So they both
Yep.
support each other. And that's a bit scary. But
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
neither
that's a
here
good
or
point.
there. Next one is Phoenixmon, which is a red equivalent of Plesiomon, right?
Yep, there's kind of not much else to say about it. It's just a red Plesiomon.
Yeah,
If you
both
look at
are
the
played because they can be evolved into Omnimon, and that's, I think, that pretty much sums it well, right? Or did I miss
yeah,
something?
precisely. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Getting the red body on the board is also useful. If you peek ahead there, you see we've got some red option cards that we do need those red bodies on the board to play.
Yeah, don't we, right?
Sure do.
No one noticed anything until I noticed. MagnaDramon. I do like the fact that they took the Digimon that already existed in one color and then remade it with a new skill. Because MagnaDramon was the skillless from the yellow starter, right? If I'm not
And I think it's
mistaken.
probably it's probably the 12K or the 12-2, 10-2, 12K vanilla. It's probably seen the least play, honestly.
Because you
We got a
don't
lot of
have a
megas.
level 7 yellow card. Like at all
Yep.
yet. We haven't seen a level 7 yellow or green card.
Yeah, I mean, we see Tidamon quite a bit from green and
Yeah.
Hyandro some from black as well to ramp into MillenniumMon. But yeah, the starter MagnaDramon kind of doesn't get anything. But this one is definitely, I think, an upgrade. Especially, it should be pretty obvious why it's played in this deck.
When played, you get recovery +2, and
yeah, that just keeps you in the game, and your security is so lethal in this deck as well. Just being able to put two more things means that they're probably going to have to sacrifice two more Digimon to attack in.
yeah,
And just
so
prolongs the game.
you are slowing down the game until you can outpace your opponent because your cards are just bigger. So they're more likely to stay on board after attacking into your opponent.
Yeah, to an extent, you could almost see this as a better Metal Seedramon as well, making it so that they have to have two additional swings.
Yeah, because most likely the swings are going to die. Yeah, that is fair. And what about that when attacking skill? Because that looks very useful.
It is very useful, but unfortunately, this deck's not able to take advantage of it. There is another variant of Megazoo that I think Sack in the Discord got, hilariously enough, third place with as well in a recent Big Bite, which was, I like to call it Recovery Zoo, where it uses this MagnaDramon as well as, kind of like we were talking about earlier, the Ultimates in yellow, the MagnaDramon and Mistimon,
Yeah.
and the Seraphimon, and now the new Alphanimon as well, that when it's destroyed, it goes to the top of your security.
Okay.
One of the things about that tournament I should note is that tournament had a chess timer, and so this deck takes very, very fast turns, right? You're just typically playing one card, so you can legitimately take like 5-second turns.
We are using more of a normal tournament timer rather than the chess timer.
Exactly, yeah.
We
So
don't want to confuse players, and we have a lot of players that are just coming into the card games. Like we had quite a few players that was their very first card game tournament yesterday. So
yeah, I agree. I kind of prefer the overall round timer as well. That's typically what I'm used to.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just translating the tournaments we run here in the UK and just put it online. Trying to make it work online as well, and trying to keep it relaxed, but that's
It's pretty hard to get a tie from timeouts in this deck. That's one good thing about it.
The big boy, Omnimon. Be all and all.
Yeah, I don't know how much introduction Omnimon needs. He's pretty ubiquitous, but deck does play, 8 red megas and I believe 9 blue megas, so a lot of capacity to get those. Typically, if you have a choice, you'll want to field one of those blue or red megas just to threaten the ability to drop an Omnimon on the next turn.
Yeah, because every single time we have seen you just hard casting a Plesiomon or Vikemon without any actual threat on board for them to deal with, it was like, or when you played the Volcanicdramon or whatever, something like that, it was like, but it can evolve into Omnimon. So that's a threat of Omnimon. Or you need to remove that Plesiomon because it can go into Omnimon and things like that. And Omnimon is interesting card because came out set 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
For people who don't know it, this is the very first level 7 that came out. The highest printed power, 15,000. When digivolving into it, you can destroy one of your opponent's Digimon and all of your opponent's Digimon with the same name as that Digimon. So you can board wipe your opponent essentially. And when attacking by returning the level 6 source from this Digimon, he becomes active or unsuspended. again. So he can attack twice in a turn. He's a monster. He's huge. He can remove anything when you evolve into him, and it costs 6 energy to evolve him on top of red or blue level 6.
Yeah,
So
one of the big things with this deck is you're passing your opponent so much memory, it's very possible that they're able to ratchet all the way up to their Mega in one turn. And if you're able to then counter that by removing said Mega with Omnimon, then you're just that much further ahead.
yes, because that's a lot of resources they spend, a lot of memory. They spend the whole turn building up one card. Unless they build it in breeding area, they will most likely lose it. But if they bring it in breeding area, then you can just play another threat and then make them choose which one he wants to get rid of with Omnimon.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into one of the poor matchups, I think, for this deck, which is just the very common Unga Bunga Omnimon decks that just rush all the way up to Omnimon. It's like, oh, you gave me 10 memory? Yeah, I'm definitely going to Omnimon away your Plesiomon there.
Yeah.
And then I have an Omnimon and you don't.
Yeah.
Very snowbally card.
In the Omnimon mirror, it's who plays the Omnimon first essentially loses, because then they're losing their Omnimon to your Omnimon, if that makes any sense.
Right, and unlike the actual Omnimon decks that build up from rookie, we can't shelter in the raising area with this deck. We got to have the guys out there exposed.
Yeah, that is true. But you also have some defensive options, and quite a lot of them. Giga Cross Freezer, which came in very handy, almost surviving you the game until that Omnimon restood.
Yeah, so overall with the option cards, there's 4 of there that should need no introduction, and then the kind of the junior version 3 of. I wanted to have a total of 10 option cards that could potentially save me when flipped over as security. So, if they have more attacks left, it does me no good to just kill what's attacking me right now. I need to kill something else on the board, or else stop it from attacking. So there are 3 one-ofs in this deck, and this was just me like, you know what? I don't know which one of these I really want to do. I feel like optimally you should probably pick one of them and run 3. But I decided, I'll run one of each of them because, in a sense, they kind of do a similar thing. So yeah, G-Cross Freezer.
I must say that I like Giga Cross Freezer because people were playing it down because I think Sorrow Blue was the other card that was very similar, but Sorrow Blue works slightly different because you choose one Digimon, and that if that Digimon has no sources when you choose it, it can't attack.
Right.
But Giga Cross Freezer puts it on the player, so the player cannot declare an attack with a Digimon with no sources. So if they add a source later on, they can attack.
Correct. Yeah. And I honestly bounce between this card and Sorrow Blue because Sorrow Blue also prevents them from blocking. This card does not prevent them from blocking.
Yeah.
So
Sorrow Blue costs 2 memory, if I'm not mistaken.
It does, yes. So, but ultimately, this was just a Rookie Rush counter card. Flip this over, and all their rookies they just hard cast down. Well, now none of those are going to be able to attack for the rest of the turn.
That sounds actually. So I've seen that a lot of your cards are against Rookie Rush, from what we have seen.
You're giving them so much memory; it's easy just to throw down all those bodies. As long as they can get 6 bodies on the board and swing them in, they probably can just win. Honestly.
Ice Wolf Claw, or I think the official English name has been confirmed to be Cocytus Breath. So you return one of your opponent's Digimon to their hand and discard the sources. You can also, on security, activate its main effect, just like that.
I hate this card, but it's blue's best removal.
Yeah.
And with the blue base, it's still definitely worth running a couple of copies. Sometimes you need to play it just to stave off lethal. It's still fine with flipped over security. Obviously, getting the effect for free is fantastic. Yeah. It kind of sucks to give somebody back like an Omnimon, and then they can throw that back down again.
Yeah, that could be painful unless they don't have anything else on board. Just bouncing that back and getting rid of everything that's underneath it could win you the game potentially. Brave Shield. I've actually seen this card win a game at some point. Not in this tournament, in one of the old. It
came darn close for me.
Sorry?
It came darn close for me in the round 4.
Yeah. One of your Digimon becomes active or unsuspended. That Digimon gets blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. But the important thing here is that it makes it active. So you can attack with it again if you hardcast it from hand, which is absolutely amazing. And I have seen it being used like that.
Yeah, if they ever actually pass you 5 memory, this can just be an extra attack that they weren't necessarily planning on, which is especially lethal if you have any of the security attack plus Digimon out. Just being able to hit twice with security attack plus 1 is great. It's fine to reactivate somebody to keep them from maybe being swung over if there's an Omnimon afoot. or just give blocker to save a damage in a pinch.
And of course, when it's flipped for security, you unsuspend one of your Digimon, give it blocker. So against the Rookie Rush again, when they have exactly 6 attacks, you just take away one of the attacks, or probably more at that point as well. Because they wouldn't want to just crash in and then hope you don't have anything to do, but then you drop Puppetmon.
Exactly. Well,
Giga Blaster. Destroy up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 power or less, and on security activates the effect. I actually didn't know this is a starter deck card. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a booster card.
Yeah, they just gave a card for all the Ultimates and Megas, I believe, in the starter decks. This was, I think, also a card that you saw in early Mega Zoo lists because it was kind of the first anti-Rookie Rush card that we got.
Yeah.
There is kind of a better anti-Rookie Rush card now in the form of, I believe it's Lightning Paw, the Gatomon option card, where it does minus 3,000 to 3 of your opponent's level 3s, but it only hits level 3s and it doesn't hit the ones with 4,000 or more. So this is just a little bit more versatile. Typically, you're not actually wanting to play the option cards out of your hand, so I don't mind the 6 cost that much. It's more so you're just hoping to see at least one of these in security. There's 10 out of 50 cards, so you would hope that 1 out of 5 security cards you have at least one
have something.
Save the options. Yep.
The important thing to remember is that if you want to play this card from your hand, you do need to have a red Digimon on board, or a red Tamer, or a red Egg. Right?
Yeah, and that I think is why, absolutely. And that is why I think it's worthwhile considering to play a red base in this deck instead, because the red option cards are stronger. You won't get the draw effect from Puppetmon, but I could see maybe going with the same idea with the Betamon. You could play Muchomon and Vorvomon to be the other free ebook cost actually 5,000 DP. So hopefully in the future, if we get a red baby that draws. Unfortunately, Poromon missed the draw 1 Season 2 rookie train in Set 3. But maybe in the future, red will get a better baby that can affect the board.
Think at the moment we need to look towards Set 4 because we have seen Set 3 rookie already, which is not very... But we have a new Upamon in Set 3, which is yellow and still draws cards and still going to be strong at drawing cards.
Poor Poromon. At least Poromon kills Gabumons, though. Best card in the game.
I agree it's the best card. No, I'm sorry, but the Gomamon with Sandcastle is the best card in the game.
I'm not going to debate you there.
And the final card, of course, the final card, of course, is going to be 4 of the Gaia Force or Terra Force, which is Scott's favorite card, which just says destroy a Digimon. It's
just delete them out of the game.
It's simple. Cost 8, but compared to the Cocytus Breath, this is so much stronger and it's only 1 memory difference. Yeah,
there's enough reason I consider Cocytus Breath to be this card's junior. The 1 extra cost, you don't care in this deck. You're playing big stuff all the time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So option cards are stronger when it comes to red, but I think the Digimon quality is better in blue when you go for the Mega. Because you have Metal Seedramon, you have Vikemon, right?
Yeah, Vikemon being I think if red had another a semi-equivalent to Vikemon with a native security attack plus, I'd probably play that instead. But obviously, both the War Greymons are not at all useful to hard drop.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're going to see something useful, right? But I don't think we're going to see anything too useful in Set 3 for this deck, besides a couple of cards, maybe the MagnaDramon, and skew a bit more purple as well, and go for the tricolor.
Yeah, Durandamon definitely, I think, comes into this deck, and I don't know if it replaces Phoenixmon entirely, but it's almost strictly superior to Phoenixmon, so you might run a combination of both. But definitely for Durandamon, it's straight up better than Phoenixmon in this deck.
Durandamon is the one that's for Lord Ragnamon, right? It gives...
grants piercing, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, the only weakness compared to Phoenixmon is it's a 3-cost Evo, and obviously this deck does not care about that.
Oh, is it 10k 12 as well? Sorry, 10 cost 12.
Yep.
Okay, then that's definitely a straight upgrade to Phoenixmon, because then you go into Omnimon or Omnimon Alter S if that's going to be any decent, because let's be honest, we expect Alter S to also have 15,000 power.
Right. And I could even see this deck maybe morphing into just a level 7 spam deck that kind of goes red and black with adding in the... I don't want to try to pronounce the name. The I think it's like Brywaludramon. Yeah, that guy. I could even throw him in here as well.
Yeah,
So this could sort of
there's.
become a glorified Ragnarlord deck.
I do like the set 3 because it brings in a lot of consistency. Sadly, only to 2 colors.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see when the full list is out.
Yeah, that is true. We shouldn't judge it just yet. We shouldn't test it either because there's no point testing right now when we don't have all the cards because we'll just build up hype for something that's not there. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
why I
very
have it built
much
set three
for
decks.
showing us your deck. The deck is amazing. Congratulations on getting the 3rd place. Hopefully, next time you're going to play in our event, you can win. I'll be rooting for you. We always root for you,
Well, thank you.
but we always need to be impartial when doing the rulings. And actually, this time around, we were not even judging, so we have we had someone
I'm
else.
just glad you got it when I goofed.
Sorry.
And it was reversible. I'm glad it was reversible as well.
Yeah. No, it's still fun. The last thing I want to ask you, and this is something that's called asked on the group, but community being community, we had the answer there. Question for you: do you think this game needs a mulligan of any sorts?
So with this deck in particular, you don't brick, which is great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I commentated the Digirumble that Orange Swim did, which included a mulligan rule, and there were many times where a player would have a somewhat playable hand and get too greedy and shuffle it in. Depending on the implementation of the mulligan rule, of course, it could vary. So I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. I think I want to just play more games and locals and see how I feel about it from there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Thank you for the answer. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time from your weekend to let us know your thoughts behind the deck. And thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to let us know in the comments and make sure to follow Kooper on his YouTube channel. Hopefully he provided me a link, so the link is in the description. And I'll see you guys around next time.